then it's going to actually break relationships up, because there is nothing left apart from, a phone over the dinner table where you're not sharing what you've done today, or you've not shared your children's experiences or whatever. So it is really important to be able to set those boundaries to give you back your life in a way.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I mean, there's people walking out in the street getting run over because they're on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's insanity.
Well, it is, and without going too deep, we're slipping into insanity rather readily and easily, and we have to become aware and stop it. Otherwise, there's a great movie called Wall-E, and it's a futuristic movie, and it's people riding around in floating cars out in space and living in a spaceship, and all they're looking at are screens and not communicating with each other.
That's a pretty daunting thought. I mean, then people won't listen to radio shows and things because they'll be too busy playing on their smartphones or whatever. And we can't have that, because that isn't good for either of us.
No, well, it's a breakdown of communication is what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we're no longer listening, and then we're no longer talking. We're no longer communicating. Instead, we're living inside of a screen of some kind, staring at a light. And unfortunately, that there's not much value in that, and it's not being present. We're off somewhere else. So, as you said, that family of 6, they were sitting there. What were they doing? Were they communicating with other people outside of their family in that space? I mean, what's the point of going for dinner if you're going to be off in somebody else's world or agenda?
Well, I was wondering whether they were texting each other. I don't know. It just crossed my mind that, with the family sort of saying, "Can you pass the salt, please?" or something, rather than actually saying, "Hey, Mum, can you pass the salt over, please?" It was unreal. I mean, 6 people, it just did seem unreal. So it's going to be hard to stop being distracted, but really it's essential to keep some normalcy in your life.
Agreed. Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, if you think about it, if we keep on this pattern or this path that we're on of communicating through technology and not acknowledging each other, I mean, where does the social aspect? What happens to that? Does it diminish? Do we lose the ability to even understand each other or be compassionate for each other? It could go really, really far if we don't start doing something now. And it's really how we're using our time. And I like to look at it this way. Like I keep asking myself, and I ask others, what are you trading your time for? I mean, if they have a job, I mean, are they trading their time for something valuable? Do they feel good about doing that? Or their business? Do they feel good about doing that? Do they have awesome communications and great interactions that at the end of the day they can say, "Oh, that was fabulous, amazing day," or "That was a great experience"? Because if you think about it, when we get to the end of our time here, if we don't feel complete, if we don't feel like we've actually done something of value and left lasting memories, then we're gonna feel pretty empty.
Yeah, almost worthless in a way. It's quite interesting because I used to work in an office, and when they were quiet, I'd sort of walk around the sales department, and they'd be watching Star Trek videos and things like that on their work computers. And I'd think, well, you could be actually working for the good of the company and making everybody in the company better off and more secure. But I think maybe it's an age thing. I guess they didn't think like that. They were into sort of Comic-Con and stuff like that, which is great, I suppose, if you're into that sort of thing. It didn't do much for me, I have to say. But I mean, that's actually stealing company time for which you're being paid, which is another aspect of this, which is quite concerning, particularly if it gets to epidemic proportions. I guess companies may have software that can stop people doing that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think they do, and they do shut off certain things. At least I experienced that in corporate going back like 8-10 years ago. But the key thing here is, are we aware of what we're doing, of what we're investing in? Because it is an investment of our time, our thoughts, our.
And our time is limited. We don't know how much we've got of it. None of us know how much of it, is left.
But we squander it.
Yeah, absolutely. Throw it away.
Yeah, we
I
just throw
think
it away. And and then when the time comes, we're not well, or we have some sort of disease, and the doctor says you have 6 months. Whoa, then we really get sharp, don't we? But you know what? That's not the time to be sharp. Now is
no.
the time to be sharp. I mean, I have a thought process in life. I think of it this way: we either have problems that need solutions, or we ask questions and seek answers. These are two different, very different perspectives. Because when you have a problem and you need a solution, that's like when the government freezes your bank account, withdraws almost all your money because you owed it, you know, and then you have checks out there that need to be cashed. So that's a problem needing a solution. But right now, as we're talking, we can ask questions and seek answers. We can say, okay, well, what can I do better with my time? What's a more valuable use of my time right now? Just those simple questions can actually start turning our mind in the right direction. Is what I'm doing here the best thing that I could be doing right now, sitting on my phone, sifting through Facebook or whatever?
Or sharing your wisdom to thousands on the radio, trying to get them to realize that time is one of the most important assets, that probably is the most important asset that anybody has in their lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you start breaking it all down, we don't actually have that much time. How much time do we sleep? How much time do we spend eating, bathing? All of those factors combined, and working. If you're in a job, how much time do we actually have that's personal time in the end? And one of the greatest things that I applied to my life and that I learned, which I think is so valuable, is looking at my life, my success in my life, as in terms of the number of free days that I have. Like
And of course, America's brutal
days,
for free day. America's brutal for free days anyway, because like in England, we get 4 to 6 weeks holiday a year, which at least you can then take off and plan and travel and learn and educate yourself. Here, you're lucky if you get 2 weeks, and that's very little time to recharge and rebolster your batteries to cope with the next 50 weeks of the year. If you're in a working situation.
And everybody buys into that. I did too. I bought into only 2 weeks vacation when I started working. And I just look back thinking, whoa, I would work 50 weeks a year and give 2 weeks and have 2 weeks to myself. I mean, what kind of deal was that?
And it takes you the 2 weeks to recover, to actually get relaxed, because you're still carrying the 50 weeks that you've previously done with you.
Oh yeah.
It's an interesting thing. I must admit, I do like your going for your walk to the pond. I mean, I think everybody should have a dog, because then you have to go out for a walk, even if you don't feel like it. And I always feel, even if I don't particularly want to go, I always feel so wonderful when I get back. And of course, the dog feels great too. So there's a real sort of benefit in just being in nature and watching the sky at night. And it's priceless compared to a computer screen or a phone screen, as so many people are doing now. I think it's going to be a hard lesson for some people to learn, and I don't think some people are going to make it. But at least this program is, your wisdom being shared to so many is a priceless gift to give to people, because they just don't realize where it goes until it's too late.
Well, we won't be able to dig into today, but I've come up with a term called mental blindness disease, and it's how we're mentally blind to the things that are going on around our world, and we're just allowing things to happen without even any consideration or any self-analysis at all.
I think that sounds like another show, actually, Dan, don't you?
It very well could be, because I'm seeing mental blindness everywhere. Apparently, it's just epidemic now, and anyway, I think it could make an interesting conversation.
Okay, well, look, we're getting towards the end of the show. Can you tell people a little bit about where they can find you, what you've done, and how to reach out to you?
Well, one of the things I've done is I've created an amazing guide, and it's actually 7 simple habits to save time. And it's how to succeed in half the time so that you can take your business to the next level. So if this, not just your business, but your life to the next level. And so if listeners want to grab that, they can. It's at danlefave.com/save time now. And it's just all the research that I've been doing and it's going to give them little incremental steps that, it'll give you little incremental steps that you can apply, simple and easy, because that's what we need to get started. Otherwise, we go against, our greatest villain, I guess you could say, is our amygdala, which is flight or fright. So we have to subtly approach it and just take little steps. So these 7 simple habits are an easy way to get started.
That sounds fantastic. And that's got from your website. So that's wonderful. Okay. Right. Well, what I think the best thing to do is we will schedule a future show. But as I said, we're nearly out of time. Dan, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today. I think it's something that we all need to address. Maybe perhaps the people who are way past retirement are not so bothered about the technology side of things, but certainly the younger generations and my generation even, it is and is a growing issue and needs to be addressed so people actually get their lives back. So thank you for being on my show. I think people will pick up a lot of inspiration from what you've said.
Thank you, Sue.
If you have any questions or comments or would like to know more about a guest on our show, please contact me at overtheedgesue@gmail.com. That is overtheedgesue with 2 E's in the middle @gmail.com. Today, I think my topic at the end of it, I normally say for charities, but really being as we're so wrapped up in technology and not taking notice of what's all around us, I think I should finish with what I normally say to charities, which is please go forth and do good and maybe turn the technology off for just a little while. Thanks very much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.